Hi guys! I feel bad, but we are going to squat today again. I think for these videos I'm going to pick a different topic to talk about every video. And today I'm really interested, or I've been thinking about like eating disorders with athletes. Okay, so the reason that I picked this is because I keep getting reels on Instagram that are like so heavily either people being like, gym bros have eating disorders, and then the gym bros just reacting they don't like that. They don't like that people are saying that they have eating disorders. Also, a bunch of like on TikTok and Instagram, people posting stuff just like very Tumblr 2012. I'm concerned. Why are we all in this headspace right now? It's a little weird. Not here for it. Not here for it. The vibes are kind of low today, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not party rocking today, guys. I don't know what's going on. I do know what's going on. I didn't want to say it. I feel like you guys are gonna be disappointed in me. I definitely didn't eat as much today as I should have. But that wasn't like intentionally. That's just how the day's gone. But you know what? I will chow down after this lift. I promise you guys. Promise. Just whether or not what athletes do, the way that athletes diet, the way that athletes cut weight, the way that athletes see food, or gym bros too, whether or not that is ED behavior. Personally, growing up as an athlete, I had always had this idea that EDs were a mental thing. If I didn't negatively view food, then I don't have one. The culture that's currently growing within the fitness community is so toxic. It's one, the image that people have of food that's obviously showing signs of ED thoughts. But second, it's like practices. And this is something that's been controversial forever, but just things like steroids, things like water cuts, things like intense training, intense diets, if that's good for you, if we should even be pushing the human body that far, where do we draw the line, type of stuff that people seem to also be very upset about. Why was that heavy? It's floor time, guys. I feel like absolute dog water. So with all of that being said, I want to acknowledge this like middle ground of things that aren't necessarily safe but aren't necessarily illegal. Things like steroid use, things like water cuts, any level of extreme dieting. If you're thinking about cutting out an entire macronutrient, get a fucking nutritionist. Do that by yourself. But all of these things, so intense water cuts are extremely common in many sports. It's essentially when you water load, you start drinking a whole bunch of water, and then you stop drinking water. Your body is used to having this surplus of water. It's used to just being like, okay, well, I can just keep peeing this out. I don't need it. I don't need it. And so it's going to keep doing that even when you stop drinking water. You're essentially you're wringing yourself out, you're drying yourself out. You're trying to drop as much water weight as you can so that you don't have to drop any muscle mass or even fat that might help you get through whatever sport you're competing in. They aren't necessarily unsafe, but it is something that you should be guided through by someone who's experienced. It's not the kind of thing that you should just be doing as a regular gym bro for fun. That was fun. Those kind of things are right on the brink of dangerous, of extremely dangerous. Yes, they're legal, but if you do not do them with extreme caution, you could severely harm yourself. Just keep that in mind. This is essentially the same leg day that I did last video. Go watch that if you haven't. But we're gonna switch hack squat for goblet squat. Okay. I'm feeling nothing. We went up in weight. Let's see if that solves the problem. That was good. So my personal experience with this topic is I grew up an athlete. I grew up a good athlete. And almost every coach that I had, it was like they get really excited to have a talent because they want to be the one that fosters it. They want to be the one that makes you great. They get a little bit selfish and they get into this headspace of how far can I push them? How far can I get this to grow and expand? And with zero disregard for the athlete. I think that's why a lot of like really intense coaches are very controversial. You're teeter-tottering. You're teeter-tottering on that edge of dangerous where it's like, yes, you're getting results. Yes, you have the weight cuts that you want. You have the athlete, the performance that you want, but at what cost? At whose sanity? Oh! Almost rolled my ankle. Some people might not agree with me, but I don't think that I've ever had an ED. I've done things for my sport that pushed that line. When you're a young athlete, you will be asked to do so many things. You will be asked to push yourself and put yourself in these uncomfortable positions over and over and over, and it becomes hard to identify when an uncomfortable position is for your growth, is for your benefit, or if it's for the benefit of your coach, or if it's going to, in the end, harm you. I hit that point where I was starting to do things that weren't necessarily good for me. And as soon as I started noticing that I was doing these things and noticing the effect that they were having on my body, I immediately stopped. Last set. Oh. Look. What do I personally do? I don't count anything. You know what? You can call me a bad athlete for this. You can judge how you want to judge. I look how I want to look and I eat to perform. I know when I feel good and I know when I feel like shit. When it comes to diet, I'm incredibly lazy. I don't want to have to think about food. The general go-to is ground turkey and a vegetable or fruit. Or if I'm bulking, it's going to be ground turkey and a rice and a vegetable. That's it. That's all that I do. And I eat that consistently enough that when I feel like eating like shit, I eat like shit. when I want a sweet treat, I get a sweet treat. I'm not gonna act like I'm some perfect athlete that always eats my ground turkey every single meal and eat clean consistently enough that I am allowed to eat like shit every once in a while. Typically my food is very bland or very unfun, or like it's not like a enjoyable meal per se, but I'm willing to make that sacrifice because I don't want to have to think about my food. I don't want to have to spend hours meal prepping. I hate that. If you aren't competing for something or preparing to compete for something, or you're not like an athlete, or you don't have some kind of medical situation going, if you are just a regular gym bro, you shouldn't have to count any of your calories. You can very easily get around not counting a single thing. If that's fun, if you enjoy it, if you want to do it, go ahead. But I 100% don't think it's necessary, and I typically only start paying close attention to the numbers when I'm going to compete. Someone was on the machine that I wanted, for hamstring curls. So we're doing stuff like RDLs instead. We definitely need more weight. This isn't doing much. My general recommendation, again, as a unqualified non-doctor, eat clean. Just eat as clean as often as you can. And if that means eating like shit every once in a while, then it's better than eating like shit all the time. One other thing that I really want to stress about like water cuts or these unconventional, potentially dangerous habits is they're mentally straining. That's a big reason why I don't recommend them to general gym bros, because it's not just going to affect your lifts. It's not just going to affect the way that you look. This is going to heavily affect your mental state. When you get into these intense levels, you start to almost function like a zombie. Like you're there, but you're not quite there. Nothing you do is going to feel good. Nothing you do is going to feel good. And it's not sustainable. This is not a way that even the people that do it live. They do these like odd practices specifically for competitions, for short periods of time, for durations that aren't going to cause drastic effects on their health. I simply do not feel like doing my typical core routine. I think we're just gonna do all hanging core because I don't feel like touching another weight. So I think my general consensus is if you're an athlete, you need to be extremely wary of how you're eating. And not in a restrictive way, but from the perspective of, is my food fueling me? Is my food keeping me high energy? Is my food making sure that I can sustain and grow as an athlete? If you hit a peak of your own knowledge, seek a professional. I think if you either mentally view food in a negative way, or if you are using practices that are harming your body, be very concerned, and I highly recommend seeking a professional. 3. We got 3. I almost died there. That's okay. That's okay. That didn't hurt. Okay, lift is done. Pump check time. Okay, so I forgot to film the outro before I changed. So I just want to say bye, guys. I'll see you guys next Friday for the next video.